Right before our eyes, negotiations are unfolding that are already being called the possible deal of the century, a forced sale of TikTok to the American side. According to Financial Times and Bloomberg, the Trump administration demanded that the Chinese owner ByteDance either transfer control of TikTok to the United States or face a complete ban of the application on the American market. The White House officially explains this with considerations of national security. Too much data from American users is stored on Chinese servers, and the application's algorithm itself is viewed as a tool of influence on public opinion, especially ahead of the elections. But behind the scenes, the situation is far more complex. Influential Republican senators directly call TikTok the main weapon of Chinese propaganda, emphasizing that in the hands of Beijing, this application is capable of shaping the agenda in the United States faster and more effectively than any television network. According to Wall Street Journal sources in Congress, the Trump administration views TikTok as a digital Trojan horse capable of influencing the political attitudes of millions of young voters. According to American intelligence services, the TikTok algorithm can not only recommend videos, but also subtly shift emphases, from questions of immigration and social justice to attitudes toward China and Trump himself. In the context of the election campaign, this became a red line for the White House. Therefore, the United States took a tough step, demanding that a controlling stake in TikTok go to American companies subject to American law. However, Beijing has no intention of simply handing over what many in China call the new media nuclear warhead. In the Chinese press, TikTok is called China's main window into the minds of Western youth, and for Xi Jinping's government, this is not just business, but a strategic resource. According to insiders from the South China Morning Post, in recent weeks, closed meetings have been held in Beijing with the participation of senior officials, where schemes are being discussed to retain control over TikTok, even in the event of a formal sale. One of these schemes, according to anonymous sources, consists of dividing the company into several legal entities. The Americans will receive shares in a clean structure that manages the application itself in the United States, but the key algorithm responsible for feed personalization will remain in the hands of Chinese engineers. Moreover, an option is being discussed to transfer a simplified algorithm, essentially a stripped-down version, while the main code will be stored in Beijing. This will allow China to maintain influence, while at the same time showing Washington the appearance of concessions. The second scheme, according to Nikkei Asia, is related to the creation of a black box, a closed infrastructure inside the United States, where TikTok servers will formally be located, but they will continue to be serviced by specialists connected to ByteDance and Chinese contractors. Washington will receive the appearance of control, but in fact, a significant part of the data and traffic flows will remain under Beijing's influence. According to experts from the Atlantic Council, the Chinese strategy is built on the principle of yielding form but keeping essence. That is, China is ready to allow partial sale and the participation of American corporations, possibly such as Oracle or Microsoft, but at the same time intends to retain the right to influence the algorithm and the global strategy of the application. And it is precisely in the algorithm that the main strength of TikTok lies: the ability to control the attention of hundreds of millions of users, shape trends, launch viral topics, and even influence political debates. Trump and his closest circle understand this threat. According to Politico, the White House is even considering the possibility of a complete ban of TikTok in case the negotiations do not lead to a full and transparent transfer of control. But this would trigger an explosion of discontent among millions of American users, and thus would also hit Trump's own ratings. That is why the deal has become a hostage of political balance. On the one hand, the demand for security; on the other, the danger of losing the support of the young electorate. This is precisely why analysts call these negotiations not only economic, but also geopolitical. If the deal fails, according to experts from the Brookings Institution, the United States and China will enter a new round of trade war. Already now, Beijing is hinting at retaliatory measures, the introduction of additional tariffs on American goods, restrictions for Apple, Tesla, and other Silicon Valley giants that earn huge profits in China. According to insiders in the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Beijing sees the situation around TikTok as a test. If the United States manages to force China to yield and transfer full control of the application, this will set a precedent. Tomorrow, Washington will be able to demand the same from other Chinese companies, from WeChat to semiconductor manufacturers. But if China stands firm and keeps at least partial control, it will strengthen its position as a power capable of protecting its digital assets. Thus, the negotiations over TikTok are not just a dispute over a short video application. They are the front of a new information war. According to Reuters, many Western officials already openly admit that TikTok has become a battlefield for the minds of a new generation, and the outcome of this deal will determine not only the future of social networks, but also the balance of power between Washington and Beijing. Insiders in China add that Beijing still has several unexpected moves in reserve, and the current tactics are only the beginning of a larger game. If the deal collapses, the world will see a new round of trade war, but this time not only over steel, oil, or microchips. At stake will be control over information, over what millions of people see and believe. And that is why negotiations over the sale of TikTok are today being called perhaps the largest and most dangerous deal in history. According to experts from the Harvard Kennedy School, the TikTok case is the first time that digital platforms have been brought to the level of strategic security assets. In the past, trade wars were waged over oil, steel, gas, or microchips, but now the center of gravity has shifted to information. In the 21st century, whoever controls information flows gains no less power than whoever possesses nuclear weapons. And in this context, TikTok is not just an entertainment application, but an instrument of influence reaching billions of people around the world. Special attention should be paid to hidden lobbying. According to the Washington Post, the Chinese side, through a network of affiliated consultants and companies, is already negotiating with American technology giants, trying to convince them not to support a full rupture. According to insiders, even corporations like Google and Amazon may be involved in the deal, as they understand that if tomorrow TikTok is forced to share its code, then the day after tomorrow the same demand could be applied to their own technologies in China. Thus, behind the negotiations lies another line of pressure: the struggle over the future of global internet governance. Here lies the main intrigue. The United States demands transparency and full control, but Beijing is ready to play the long game. China may concede part of the business, create an American shell company, invite independent auditors, but still keep invisible threads of influence. It resembles financial kung fu, where the opponent sees open palms while the real strength remains hidden behind the curtain. Analysts at the Carnegie Endowment warn that even if the deal is signed and Trump declares victory, this will not be the end of the story. On the contrary, it will be the prologue to a new phase of conflict. The issue of control over TikTok is only the beginning. After it will come WeChat, Alibaba Cloud, Chinese drone manufacturers, and even companies linked to artificial intelligence. The United States will increasingly demand transparency, while China will become more sophisticated in concealing the true levers of control. That is why negotiations over TikTok are already being called a trial balloon of the global digital Cold War. This is not just a deal between a private company and a government, but a historic moment in which it will be decided who controls the digital future.